Welcome back to Distantly Together, a video series hosted by the Miami University Art Museum. My name is Bob Wicks. The South Asian Gandharan region of northwestern Pakistan and northeastern Afghanistan in the first centuries of the Common Era produced the earliest artistic representations of the historical Buddha in human form. Prior to this time, he was shown only symbolically, such as by his footprints, an empty throne, a tree with garlands. Gandharan artists combined the style of ancient Roman provincial art with Indian symbols to create a distinctive artistic tradition that would have an impact throughout much of Buddhist Asia, from North India to Central Asia, China, Korea, and Japan. The main figure represents the historical Buddha, born Shakyamuni, or sage of the Shakyas, believed to have lived from the second half of the 6th century into the early 5th century BCE. Shakyamuni was a prince who vowed to find a way to overcome the suffering of this world. Upon his enlightenment, he began teaching the doctrine of the middle way. Here he is shown preaching, his hands in a gesture known as the Dharma Chakra Mudra, or turning the wheel of the Buddhist law. The Buddha is shown larger than the figures surrounding him, a compositional approach known as hierarchical scaling, in which the most important figure is shown larger than its companions. He can be identified as a Buddha by the cranial protuberance on top of his head, his hair and snail shell curls, his third eye, and elongated pierced earlobes. He is dressed in a monk's robe, with one shoulder uncovered, his feet bare. A halo can be seen behind his head, indicating the Buddha's spiritual attainment. The main composition is rendered as a Buddhist triad, in which the Buddha is flanked by two bodhisattvas. A bodhisattva has the potential to become a Buddha. Note that unlike the Buddha, who is bereft of jewelry, symbolic of his willingness to give up his worldly possessions and birthright, bodhisattvas are depicted in princely garb, with long hair, jeweled turbans, heavy necklaces, and bare upper torsos. They, too, are backed by halos. To the far left is a fragmentary bodhisattva Maitreya, or Buddha of the future, representing perfect wisdom. Maitreya is actually depicted twice in this relief, a second time in the row of figures below. We'll return to that feature later. To the far right is a bodhisattva Padmapani, or holder of the lotus, representing mercy or compassion. In this detail, you can also make out that unlike the barefoot Buddha in the center of the relief, the bodhisattva is wearing sandals as part of his princely garb. He is also shown with 3 distinct necklaces, one of which is a phylactery, with small containers for holding scriptural passages. 2 attendant figures are to the immediate right and left of the Buddha. Both are pre-Buddhist in origin. Their incorporation into a Buddhist setting symbolizes the universal nature of Buddhist teachings. Brahma, a creator god within Hinduism, is to the left. He can be identified by the matted hair of an ascetic. To the right is Vajrapani, or holder of the thunderbolt, also described as Indra, an ancient Indian Vedic deity. Indra becomes the king of the highest Buddhist heaven. He is identified with the barbell-like thunderbolt he holds in his proper left hand, associated with diamond or an indestructibility. His turban is distinctive. He holds a fly whisk in his proper right hand, indicative of his role as an attendant to the Buddha. Above the main figures are celestial beings carrying jeweled garlands, symbolic of paradise. 2 features of this relief are remarkable, rarely found elsewhere in the Gandharan tradition. To the upper right are 2 figures seated in meditation beneath a pavilion or treasure tower. They are engaged in conversation. The historical Buddha has a philosophical discussion with a Buddha of the past, Prabhudaratna, or Abundant Treasures, who confirms the truth of the teachings found within the Lotus Sutra. The appearance of this scene in Gandhara confirms the prominence of the Lotus Sutra as a religious text as early as the 2nd to 3rd century, when this relief was carved. The lower relief depicts a scene often referred to as the Augmented Seven, the 6 Buddhas of the past, one for each age of the world, together with the historical Buddha, and Maitreya, the Buddha of the future. The entire grouping is flanked by 2 attendant figures. This is one of the earliest intact surviving representations of this concept in Buddhist art. All of the Buddhas are shown with a raised hand gesture referring to fearlessness. The eighth figure at the far left is Maitreya, the Buddha of the future, depicted as a jeweled bodhisattva. He becomes the Happy Buddha of East Asian lore and souvenir shops associated with luck and good fortune. If there are other examples of art from the collection of the Miami University Art Museum you would like to have covered in this series, just let me know. Above all, keep safe and stay healthy.